You afraid it wasn't going to be on, Lenny?
I kept thinking, never mind what I was thinking.
And your phone is off.
We haven't started yet. All right. Welcome to Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission meeting for December the 9th, 2024. Can we get a roll call vote, or roll call? Call us in, Kelly.
No problem. Executive Director Brian Messmore,
Here.
President Richard Richardson,
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer,
Present.
Member Janie Wilson,
Here.
Member Brian Johnson,
Present.
School Board Member Aaron Shepard,
Here.
City Attorney Del Walden.
Here.
Thank you. And if we've had a chance to read over the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, I'll take a motion to approve those.
So move.
Lenny, motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Brian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any announcements this evening from the board or Director Messmore?
I have none, thank you.
If not, Ms. Hermish, would you provide us a financial report?
Yes, as of December 3rd, 2024, the balance for redevelopment is $793,620.77.
Of course, we have that information in our packets as well. Under new business, throw it over to Director Messmore. We do have row house request.
Yeah, I'd like to, for the motion to table that for this evening, please.
Okay, take a motion to table that for tonight.
So move.
Motion to table the row house request by Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Lenny. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion does carry. I see nothing additional under new business. There is no additional. We will move on to old business, and I'll throw that back to Director Messmore for a tax credit housing update.
Well, we did not receive the 9% LIHTC allocation. So that was the fourth time. This is for the Durbin Plaza tax credit housing. We did not receive the award. So that's unfortunate. That was our fourth round. So I think just got to regroup, maybe take first quarter 2025 and explore options, ideas, whether that be, market rate housing or another stab at tax credit housing or an idea that we haven't thought of. Maybe putting it out to the general public and see if there's any opportunities on that particular parcel that we even haven't thought of, which is quite possible.
All right.
So,
What's a bummer?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a bummer. We just hope we can get something. We'll get something done now. So
You're going to have to stay home with Debbie.
I got all the confidence in the world in you, Brian.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to 533 West High Street.
Okay, let me turn my pages here. 533, okay. Oh, let me bring you up to date on this one. If you remember, 533, we had an agreement with Kevin Nair, who is here this evening, by the way. He was going to build his personal residence there. We approved his plan. Everything was going fine and dandy, and Kevin had some changes, and he decided to buy a house versus build one. At the same time, we had Miss Jenkins, who was buying for 556 West High, and when Kevin started to change his plans, we agreed as a board to allow Mrs. Jenkins and Kevin, for him to sell the property to her at the same price he bought it from us, and that he would build her house of her dreams. As of today, Mrs. Jenkins and Kevin aren't able to reach an agreement on square footage and cost and things that fit within her, what she desires. So I called Kevin and said, look, we gotta get off of this one. We've done what we could do to make it work for everybody, but it's time to, move on from this one way or the other. So Kevin has the idea of building a market home, or we can buy it back and proceed with Miss Jenkins, give her an opportunity at the property with a 45 or 60-day time period to come up with an agreement with a developer. And if not, then we have another opportunity in front of us. So that's where we're at. Kevin said he'd stop by and tell us his idea of his market house. If you want to do that, you can.
Yeah.
If I didn't explain, you want to step up.
You want me to stand?
Yeah, if you don't mind, yeah.
All right. Well, first, apologies
Mark.
for, what's that?
State your name and,
Kevin Nair,
Thanks.
owner of Sequoia Construction.
there we go.
Apologies for how things have gone to date. Personal reasons from the plan of building, sold the house that I had built years ago, and found a good deal on a house in Greendale, and that worked better with kids and family. And so initially, after that happened, after talking with Brian about that, the thought of a market home was my next go-to, but Jay Knowles had approached me with, this client that wanted to build. So we just, costs were expectation, desires and things that were wanted for the house in size, and it didn't work with her budget. And that was when I kind of went back to looking at the idea of doing basically the same house that I was going to build, that was approved, just with some minor changes, get rid of the basement, make it a 3-bed, 2-bath ranch, and do it as a market home. So that's where I'm at. The drawings I could have, hopefully by the end of the week, I've got revised drawings. And I could start the project as soon as approval from redevelopment and building permits. Then I would be able to start on the project. So I've got my old set of drawings. If anybody wants to see those tonight, if you need that, or if I need to just submit them through Andrew. And I know, Brian, we had talked about redevelopment by, kind of buying the lot back. So I don't know how many people are familiar with Sequoia, and the custom homes and things that we do, but the house that would be built would be the, same quality, same, as I do every other house. And just like I had spoke with Andrew a little bit, with buying, there's more of an unknown, I guess, with going the other route, in my opinion, for what it's worth, just of not knowing what might, where it could go or what might end up being there. Again, I would have loved to build my house there. It just didn't work at this time. So I'd still like to, do something there, and have the opportunity, if there's more future buildings or housing needed down there, the opportunity to continue doing that. So
I am 100% familiar with Sequoia Homes. They are beautiful.
Thank you.
Do a fabulous job.
Appreciate it.
I did not know that you were actually
Yeah.
in any way involved with Sequoia Homes, and I was having a conversation with somebody this past weekend about how nice these homes are, how nice quality they are, because I think Sequoia has got a property on my end of town over by Front Street.
Yes. So that'll be, that's future Sunshine Corner. The old blue house over there?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Do you know if she's expanding, or is that going to be a totally?
Yes, just a third location.
Gotcha.
So.
I'm sure it'll be great.
So Kevin and I have had a lot of discussions, and everything's good. I mean, he made his value proposition, and he asked if he could do that, and I said sure. But, So we need to make, we need to make a decision, I believe, this evening to go one way or the other on this. And keeping in mind, and as I talked to Kevin, that, Ms. Jenkins has been, she was runner-up on 556, and, we've been trying to create a pathway for her to have a possible ownership, which is a bit of unknown at this point. But she would have to do everything that Kevin had to do to get through us. It would have to be approved and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Weldon,
Yes.
do you have anything to add? I mean, I know we've covered this with board motions, and I think they have been very clear and forthright. So what we're saying now is we'd be changing from the first and the second. He either gets a shot at market home, or we buy the lot back
Right.
and deal with Ms. Jenkins one-on-one, give her an opportunity. Do you follow that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do anything you want. Obviously, the original deal
Is not on.
going to happen.
Yeah.
So if we want to take the lot back, or if you want to give us the lot back, either way, we can have the lot back and offer it to whomever we like. Are there any lots available?
No.
We're done.
Well, East High, 236 East High.
You haven't talked to Ms. Jenkins about that?
It's a pretty difficult lot.
Yeah.
Is 556 not available?
556 is next on the agenda. And no, it's not.
Okay.
We approved the house on that, and I'll cover that shortly, but we've got a note from Low Miller that says that's probably set to close within a couple weeks, so it's proceeding with her buying additional property from the neighbor.
Okay.
So that's all going good.
Kevin, how many square feet would your spec home be?
2,000, 2,100 roughly.
Okay.
3-bed, 2 full bath.
Do you have an idea what you would try to sell it for?
So that's kind of the interesting whole thing with, like, as far as with dealing with Julie as well. My square footage cost on hers was the cost that I saw 15 years ago per square foot, which was, like, I was shocked. As far as her, what she was kind of wanting in it and finishes, versus budget that she wanted to stay in, I don't know if anybody could build it at that. My material cost for the whole thing, material and sub, was that amount. I would like to stick, because I talked to Tim Lytle and Dave Staub, who's doing the other one down there, kind of seeing where they were. Ideally, 3-bed, 2-bath. If I'm building that somewhere else for a client, like custom-wise, I'm about $300 a square foot on those houses. I would like, obviously I'm not, I don't want it to be that cost. I'd like to hit the around 450 roughly, and that's where I think that whole area could end up kind of being like that. So,
So
her
400,000 to 450
roughly, yes.
would be the range that you would shoot for.
Where I was at, Julie's, what we had designed was about 2,600 square feet, 2-story. And that one, where was it? It was about $186 a square foot on that one. 492,000 is where that ended up. Because I think that 450 number is, that's a, with, again, and I look at the apartments down there and what those are, leased for, rented for, and the fact that it's doing very well was, like, I guess I was a little bit surprised, because they're, it's not a cheap place to rent, but they're, that, it doesn't, even the Casey subdivision down on Route 1, with what those houses are selling for, it's more, it's not a starter, necessarily a starter home, but I know that the owner has the ability to get a grant, right? They would have the ability, which it's going to help anybody. So, so I feel like that 450 is a good cost to be at.
Okay. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Brian, do you have any other inquisitions about the, properties down there? Or
No, because I've had a couple, but they've all been basically tied up, so that kind of, and I'm sure,
If
There.
he's not gonna build the house to live in it, then wouldn't it be more fair for us to get the lot back and work with the person that was next in line to see if it is possible for her to be able to build the house that she wants? And if not, we could look outside of the practice that we've already set up.
I would say if that's the way we would go, and if that didn't work out, we'd just have another lot on the market, and he could go through Low Miller and just like anybody else at that point. Because it would be listed again.
I know that there's an unknown there, but there's, I don't know.
I'm kind of thinking the way you are, and then there's something to, if they buy the property and they build on it, and then you got the, what is it, where we give them so much money?
First-time home buyer.
Right,
First-time
there's a
home buyers.
first-time
Yeah,
home
everybody's entitled to
So
that.
that would be eliminated in that, right? If he bought that?
No, it would go to the homeowner.
I thought it was something, I don't know, maybe.
No, it only goes to the homeowner.
Yeah.
So they could get up to $35,000.
And they have to live there for 3 years.
That's correct.
right? So it wouldn't really matter who bought it or who built it, what
Goes
you're
to the owner.
saying.
Goes to the owner,
It
right?
goes to the homeowner.
Goes to the homeowner.
Yeah.
So if Kevin built the property and was a market home, it would go to the new homeowner.
It would go to
Yeah.
the new
And
homeowner.
not the
That's
Correct.
exactly right.
Yep.
So it'd almost be like selling it to Low Miller, or Low Miller selling it, and then him building it, then selling it, correct? The only thing I hate, that poor lady, what was her
Well,
name?
we've worked with individual families who have went to Low Miller
Right,
to get these properties to build these homes.
to build the home.
That's what Hoggy did.
So,
That's what
Um,
6 is doing.
Did Dave's project, Dave Sobbs, did he start that as he had the client, he already had the client, right, at the start of the project, I
Is he
believe?
across the street?
Yeah, he's across the street.
Those days. Yeah.
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 But then Tim's, right, Tim bought the lot
Yeah.
and was building a
Market.
market home.
Yeah.
And then got the guy came in after he started. So it would be the same as that, basically, right?
It'd be-
Other than,
Yeah.
I'd be doing the same thing too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've done this
It's-
all over town.
Yeah,
It's not-
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But for clarification purposes, the grant is to support the
Yes.
homeowner, for the goal of single-family housing.
so what you're saying, Dale, is any way we went here, we'd be all right?
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, Sue.
you're just not, the original plan and the original program was for the future homeowner to come to us with a plan.
Right.
And someone like Sequoia would build it. And that's what Mr. Ware originally intended. He was gonna live in it. And then he decided to move his family somewhere else. We had the second, the other person who was interested in the lot try to work with Mr. Ware to build her house, which she would have to do anyway. If she just came to us and we just had a lot, she would still have to come to us and say, here's the house I'm gonna build, does it meet all your specifications? Sequoia's building it, or whomever's building it. So this is just, you're getting to the same end result, you're just doing it differently if that's what you want. You're fine to do that. Or you can, so what Mr. Ware is proposing is that he keeps the lot, builds the house, sells it, the person who is gonna move their family in there can still get the 10% up to $350,000 or $35,000. And then we would have a new home on the lot that is single family, not a rental, owner occupied, which is our goal. Or like Mr. Richardson said, we could they'll take the lot back and then have the actual homeowner come to us instead. That's just, so the start would be different, but the end would be the same. So you could do either way.
So we're clear, so the lot right next to it, that is from day one, that was a builder purchased lot, build a market home,
That's correct.
just like Kevin wants to do now.
Like he wants to do now.
That is what he wants to do now.
Yeah.
Originally, it was intended, he was gonna live in it. I, as well as, I didn't know that you were the, Sequoia
Yeah.
Homes. To me, I mean, I know your guys' product is a pretty nice product.
Thank you.
A little out of my ballpark, but, you guys do fantastic work.
Thank you.
And I've seen it. Because I was in the beginning, after I was enlightened, and I didn't realize that was the actual situation. The goal is to get a marketable home, a beautiful home on that lot. And the way I'm looking at it now is regardless, we're still gonna end up with that.
Yes.
And it's gonna be a nice home, and somebody's gonna come in and buy it, and they're gonna get the $35,000 home buyer. So, what does concern me though is, you're gonna build this on your risk, and we're not looking to have a renter in there.
Right.
We want somebody that's gonna build a nice home and sell it.
Yep.
Will you sit on it and
Yeah, I'd have no
take that
problem.
chance?
Yes, I would do that, or I purchased a house in Greendale. It's close to the kids. It was kind of my son saying, why can't you build in Greendale? But I would I would sell that place, but I would sit on that as long as I had to. So,
Well, you can't, I mean, if you, we're getting
Well,
way down a
sorry.
wild path here, but these are intended for single-family dwellings. It can't be rented. If you rent, it's a violation of the original premise, and I'm gonna take your home away.
just like Tim Lytle's, before he even had the foundation in, he had a,
Yeah.
purchaser.
Yeah, it takes foundation out.
Well, I wouldn't see it sitting, but,
Yeah, I think that's what Mr. Johnson's saying is that we would have to make it a requirement that he sells it to owner occupied, not a renter.
That already
Which
is.
that would be the only
Yeah.
way they could qualify for the grant, so it would all work out. But I think that's
Yeah.
good that you said that. And I think
Yes.
the other thing that's important to say is that the reason we're debating this is because the most important thing originally is we didn't want to just list the lots for sale for developers to come in and try to, build houses and overcharge people. That's why you guys have always worked hard to have the homeowner come to you and then they bring in the builder. We didn't want it to just be a free-for-all and have the builders make the profits. We wanted to get the nicest home we could and to have the owner-occupied family benefit. So that's why we wouldn't normally just say, hey, Sequoia, come buy all the lots and do whatever you want, make as much money as you want, but this is not really that situation.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, Dale, but.
No, I'm done.
If the agreement would stay exactly the way it's written, regardless of whether he was gonna live there or not, and all that is maintained, can we change the agreement we currently have?
We'd have to, yeah.
Yeah, we would have to do that.
Yep.
And then we'd just go, but what about the timeline? It was, when it was sold, is that same timeline still gonna be able to be maintained?
You have to start new.
as far as if I'm doing a market home, if I were to be
Yes.
doing that, I would be started as soon as drawings were finalized and the bank, I signed off on the bank paperwork and got permits.
Okay, so. my
Unless
question-
it's
my question
10
is-
degrees,
Yes,
yes.
everything will fall within the timeline
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So,
Yeah, and I don't think we'd be having this conversation. I mean, outside of the fact that we had a individual interested in a lot in that area. And we've
Yeah.
been, I think that's the only thing. Otherwise, go build it. Yeah, so.
That's
I
the
think,
big
you
thing,
know,
because
from
she
a-
really wanted to move down here. He was in our meeting.
I don't know how
I
it'll work
don't
out.
know how we do this.
That's the only bogey in this whole conversation.
Yes.
You'd already be digging a basement, you know,
Right.
so.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we'll leave the agreement the way it is with Kevin and let him build his market home instead of going back and forth between realtors and lawyers and everything else, and just get this project off the ground and move with it. So that is my motion. And it's up to the president to ask for a second.
There a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay?
I'd,
I'm coming. Who made the second?
Second was Kevin.
Okay. All right, roll call. Lenny Fryman.
God, I want to say yes, but then with the lady, I want to say no, so let me think about it a minute.
Lenny, you're up.
I don't want to be up.
Roll call vote, Lenny. what
I'd
you got?
say
Sorry.
yay.
Okay. Brian Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. Kevin Schaefer.
Yes.
Janie Wilson.
Yes.
Richard Richardson.
No.
And just to be clear, just so I know what to do, I mean, we would have to tweak the agreement just in the sense that he's no longer the owner occupied. He's gonna build it and sell it.
No
And
different than his neighbor.
do what?
It'd be no different than his neighbor down
Yeah,
there.
we'll make it match up, but I just wanna make sure, I don't know if it can be exactly the same. We'd have to
Well,
tweak it a little bit, but
That's up
I
to
know
you
what
to
you
figure
were
that out.
saying. I just want everyone to be
And
on the same page.
obviously, we have not seen the plans, so we would need, I mean, those plans would need to go through the
Come back
same
to us again.
Yeah,
scrub
normal
process
right.
with
proposal.
Bo
everything.
Miller Real Estate. They have to make sure that meets all of our requirements, and once that's done, we'll
Yep.
get a recommendation, and, correct?
Good, yeah, if you're
Great.
good, I'm good. We'll make it happen.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
556 West High Street.
All right.
Nothing against you, it's just,
All right, so 556 West High.
it's kind of messed up.
We got a note that that's probably going to close within about 2 weeks. We have approved that house plan. They're not changing the house plan. The survey has been complete. It goes to BZA, and it's well on its way for closing within a couple weeks. Okay?
Okay.
So no bad news, it's just good news one?
Just an update.
Yeah. You know.
Pretty good.
All
What's
right.
next?
We have got the Main Street report that's been provided by the Main Street Director, Pat Kreider. We've all got
Yeah.
that in our packets. Do we have-
Interim.
Interim Main Street Director,
Yes,
Pat Kreider.
interim.
We appreciate her time.
And rightly so. She's doing really well for us.
She is
and
doing,
thank you.
she always does. Pat does a good job. Any questions about that?
Yeah, how's that coming for the replacement? Have they had it?
I don't know. I know they're working towards a replacement. I understand there's been interviews, but I shouldn't say any more because I don't know much more about it than that.
I wonder if there was any
Yeah.
update.
I will say that over the rest of the month, Ms. Hermitage and I will be determining the appropriate ending balance numbers with Main Street and preparing our appropriation for 2025 in January. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's what you told me what to say.
Yeah, you did great.
She tells us all what to say. No, I'm kidding. We love you, Kelly.
There's no more questions on that. We've got no additional old business. I'll take a motion to approve the claims.
So move.
Moved by Lenny. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kevin. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Comments from the audience? Councilman Thomas Wood.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, can we just add him to the agenda?
I might be here for a while.
That's okay, but.
Councilman Thomas Roulette Senior, I'm just coming in and checking up on where we're at with the EDAs on the Davis property. Is there any movement?
Okay, we'll talk about Strong's first.
There you go.
As
Thank you.
you're aware, there was a lien that, and I'll ask
Yes,
Mr. Weldon
yes,
to chime in
I'm aware
if
of
he
that.
needs to, but I'll take my shot at my legal expertise as it stands. So there was a lien from a case, somebody sued the city. However, the law firm failed to file the satisfaction of the judgment, and that particular law firm is now closed. So now we have a lien hanging on this, and the only way to remove that, is I'm aware of, is that a judge has to rule. And that has been, that hearing date has been set for January 27th. I know.
Only in Lawrenceburg, right? Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it's probably not true about that. It probably happens a lot of places. But at any rate, I do know that both parties are working to try to get a hearing date closer than January 27th, if you had anything to add to
Yeah,
that.
no, that's exactly right. Or they may be able to close with that pending still.
Okay.
Because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's what they're working on.
Okay.
It's all good.
So, and I would suggest to you, and you will be a part of it, that the discussion on the future plans and objectives and strategy, I think, will require a Q1 2025 discussion amongst council and redevelopment.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to
So,
goes to the future.
as long as we keep moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
All right. Well, thank you.
thank you.
And if I don't see the rest of you before, y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays.
Merry
Thank you, you
Christmas.
too.
I'm sure I'll see some of you.
And I mean this sincerely. I appreciate you. I do. You're a detail-oriented guy, but I will tell you that my board was backing me up in preparation for this meeting, making sure I was prepared for you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
That is true. That is true. If there are no additional comments, everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully we'll see everybody next year. Take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Lenny,
Second.
second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
At least I got that in that time.
Good job, Lenny.
That's more than I can say for council. But they down there fighting over that all the time.